Amal, can you handle the truth?
I can.
Well, here is the truth of the matter for San Francisco 49ers bettors. You caught a break. That is the truth with Trey Lance's injury. I know it's not PC. You never root for injuries, but they happen in the NFL, i.e. Tony Romo. When he got hurt, Dak Prescott took his job, and Tony Romo never came back to the NFL again. People lose jobs to injury all the time. And the truth of the matter is the San Francisco 49ers caught a break with the injury to Trey Lance in week number 2, and now Jimmy G is their starting quarterback once again. If you have them at plus $1.40 to win the division, you are in play. If you have them at over 9.5 wins, minus $1.25, you are in play, San Francisco 49 backers. We just had San Francisco in the top 5 of both of our power rankings in the NFC. And I think for me, a large part of it is I can sleep at night knowing that Jimmy G is the starting quarterback and not Trey Lance. I like Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is going to be fine. But you have to realize this. This will be year number 3 that he basically doesn't play football. The COVID year of 2020. Last year as a rookie for the San Francisco 49ers, when Jimmy G got hurt, he didn't look particularly good. And by the way, week 1 against the Bears, I know it was a monsoon. He got outplayed by Justin Fields. And oh, by the way, week 2 before the injury, they get down to the red zone. They can't score touchdowns because nobody takes them seriously as a passing threat right now. Jimmy G comes into the game after the injury. What happened to the team? Everybody got elevated. They throw a touchdown pass. You thought they won the Super Bowl the way those guys reacted. The fans and the media, they can tell you one thing, that the other guy's the better option. The players will tell you by the reaction who they want to be the starting quarterback. Now, look, there's a couple of situations and movies that I can parlay this into a Jimmy G conversation, Amal. Did you ever see Michael Clayton?
Yes.
Okay, the great movie with George Clooney and the late, great Sidney Pollack. They are mourning the passing of one of their own. And Sidney Pollack says to George Clooney, it's the tragedy what happened. But you know what? If we're being honest, we caught a break. And also in the movie Platoon, Best Picture 1986, you have 2 rival sergeants, right? You got Bonds and you got Elias, and you've got all these guys split fraction, and they are following 2 different sergeants. In the NFL, you can't have that in a locker room. And once Trey Lance, it was already happening after week 1. Guys are looking over the shoulder going, we got to get the veteran back in there. And guess what? Veterans don't want to wait for young kids to get up to their level. Their window is open right now to potentially win a Super Bowl. They came within 1 play last year against the Rams. If Jaworski Tart catches the interception by Matthew Stafford, they're going back to a Super Bowl with Jimmy G. So you almost have 2 situations where Jimmy G, whatever you think he is, he's not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but he's perfect in this system. Why? He gets the ball out. This is not a deep ball system. It's a slant system. It's Deebo Samuel. It's George Kittle. It's quick hitters to Brandon Ayuk. That's what he does, and that's not necessarily what we were seeing out of Trey Lance. So if we're being honest with ourselves, if we're being truthful, the San Francisco 49ers caught a huge break because now it's not on Kyle Shanahan. It's not on John Lynch. It's not on the front office to say why we made the trade up to go get this kid. Now they can say, man, tough break. He gets to sit and learn for 1 more year behind Jimmy G, and this is the perfect opportunity for the Niners now with a 1-year deal for Jimmy Garoppolo to get the band back together 1 more time and see if they can make some hits. And then next year, all bets are off. You can go back to Trey Lance. Trey Lance might be just fine. But right now, the better option at quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers is Jimmy Garoppolo. And the truth of the matter is they caught a huge break because they don't have to answer those questions going forward.
Yeah, Kelly, make sure you post Dave's TED Talk. The reality of it is, to me, when you look at it.
Oh, we will.
Jimmy Garoppolo gives them the best chance to win right now. And here's the other thing for me. I think the NFC is to be had by anybody. There's 5 to 6 different teams that have an opportunity. Look, I've never been a big Jimmy Garoppolo fan. I think he's a solid quarterback, but I think he's got a great team around him. And I think this 49ers team is good enough with the talent. And Deebo Samuel might be the ultimate weapon in the National Football League.
Totally agree.
When you look at this team with the defense, with what they have, the pieces there, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, I think this team is extremely elite. They just need that consistency at quarterback. I didn't understand why San Francisco was so hell-bent on, taking Trey Lance. We saw this project blow up in Chicago with Mitchell Trubisky when a guy's only played 1 year and 1 game. So why take a guy with that kind of risk there? You look at the potential upside, but an unproven commodity, you waste a third pick. I equate this to when Detroit, the Pistons, didn't take Carmelo and they took Darko Milicic.
All right. Because he didn't fit?
Yeah, and so to me, I'm like, the 49ers in a position to win right now. I just don't like the move of bringing in Trey to start. Thought they should have stuck with it because the NFC is not particularly overwhelming.
That's a great point. That when you look at this conference right now, look where the Niners are in the betting market.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're right there at 9-1 right now to win the NFC. And to me, okay, the Buccaneers look good, but they don't look great.
No,
offensively,
exactly right.
They've sputtered, right? And that's why maybe Cole Beasley signing to get some help at wide receiver. Okay, the Eagles look like, okay, they might be legit. But you have a one-game scenario in the playoffs with San Francisco and the Eagles. I'm rolling I could roll the dice with the Niners in that game. So the point here is that with Trey Lance, and look, I think the kid's going to be just fine, but he's still a kid that hasn't played football now in 3 years.
Right.
And Jimmy Garoppolo is the better option today. So for everybody backing the Niners, I think those tickets, your value just went up on whatever futures ticket you might have on them. And I think you're right. We both have them in the top 5, and that's where they're close to being in that betting market here. I believe number 6 right now in the NFC. So they're right on the cusp of being one of the shorter favorites to win this conference. And I don't think that's by happenstance. I do think it is by Jimmy G now being the starting quarterback. Remember, he did all of this last year on a bad wing that needed surgery.
Right.
He gutted it out for these guys on a shoulder that needed major surgery in the offseason. And that's another reason why teams shied away from him. And they said, we're not going to pay for a guy that we don't know because of the medicals. Yeah. He couldn't even throw until we got this summer. So the Niners got lucky. They didn't play this right, but they got really lucky, kind of like Cindy Pollock said to George Clooney. We caught a break, if we're being honest. And I think the front office can understand that.
I would agree with you completely. I don't think anyone's going to come out and say it, but I think there were a lot of people that felt like he should have been the starter. It's not that Jimmy Garoppolo is an overwhelming guy. It's just when you look at it, I think he gives them the best chance to win right now.
How do you evaluate San Francisco this week very quickly? Because, look, the offense did pick up when Jimmy G came in, and you saw the rise, just the way they played. Because now you can call a different game if you're Kyle Shanahan. You can rely on your defense and ask Jimmy G not to screw it up. They're favored, if you can believe this, on the road at Denver. That surprises me. Does it surprise you?
A little bit, but I don't think Denver's given you anything to make them feel confident in them. I mean, this team barely eked out a win. And by the way, Nathaniel Can't Hack It, just like his dad, Paul Can't Hack It, who was the worst coach in LA sports history at USC. I mean, it's amazing that they recycle these guys. They use nepotism of dumb people. I mean, I don't get that. Are you trying to hire a surgeon who flunked out of medical school to have his kid be the guy?
No, sir.
I mean, come on.
By the way, that is, in fact, the truth, San Francisco.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.